Okay, Randy, cars over on the backstretch. We'll be watching the number 65 of Johnny Mackison Jr. matched up beside the number 29, the Weichert Livestock car, Doug Wolfgang. They'll be setting the pace. Starter Bob Hockenberry waves the green flag, Randy, and we're underway. Look at this action off turn 4. Everybody heading into that first and second turn, Randy. Jimmy Nace moving up on the outside. Doug Wolfgang has already established the lead. He's going to be setting a torrid pace here.
He certainly is. Johnny Mackison runs in that second position. He's doing a fantastic job. So far, so good in this feature event, John.
If anyone's going to win it here today other than Doug Wolfgang, we're going to have to take it away, Randy.
Just a mass of cars out on the speedway now, John. Luckily, everyone keeping it straight. Right now, Dave Blaney putting the pressure on number 65 of Johnny Mackison for that second position.
Here they come, 15,000 horsepower go thundering by our camera. Doug Wolfgang, still your leader in that number 29.
Now, John, it'll be very interesting to see if Dave Blaney can catch up to the number 29 of Doug Wolfgang.
Dave Blaney won the opener here 2 years ago, but if he's going to do it today, he's going to have to catch Doug Wolfgang. Running in that third spot, Johnny Mackison Jr., he's doing a good job, Randy.
And Smokey Snowbaker continues to run in that fourth position. Stevie Smith Jr. runs fifth. The number 26 is Jim Nace in sixth. And Keith Kaufman runs in that seventh position.
So those are your top 7 right now. We're only a couple of laps into this 25-lap feature. Here comes Doug Wolfgang, your leader. Wolfgang works his way through turns 1 and 2.
And John, I really believe that Dave Blaney is catching up to Doug Wolfgang. Blaney is not afraid. He's putting that car up high in turns 1 and 2 where you can get a great bite.
Oh, at number 40, Randy, of course, the Challenge House car coming out of the Stanton Racing Shop. So you know he's got equipment there underneath him to do it.
He certainly does, John, and right now he's only, I would say, 5 car lengths behind the Sioux Falls Express. Doug Wolfgang.
Here they come off turn 4 now. Doug Wolfgang and Dave Blaney in that number 40. They go streaking by our camera into turn 1. They've opened it up just a bit over your third place man, Johnny Mackison Jr.
Actually, they've really opened up a great deal on the entire field. And soon, John, they're going to be getting into a lot of lap traffic.
Right now, Doug Wolfgang heads down that front stretch. Lap traffic just entering turn 1, so it's only going to be about another half a lap or so, Randy.
Okay, we're going to stay right here with the leaders. This is the real battle. Doug Wolfgang, the perennial power in sprint car racing, with young Dave Blaney hot on his heels.
Things are going to begin to get very interesting.
My goodness, John, his car nearly backflipped.
Unbelievable, Randy, how he could be getting that much of a bite on this hard-dry racetrack. Maynard yanks broadside off turn 4, but he gets it straightened out.
Everyone is doing that, John. They're coming off the corners and the front ends are lifting right off the racetrack. And now we're going to have a real challenge. Doug Wolfgang now right up around Joe Gravino. Dave Blaney hot on his heels.
Doug Wolfgang puts Joe Gravino 1 lap down as they work their way off turn 2. Those cars are really loose on that racetrack, Randy. Here goes Wolfgang. He's still your leader.
Okay, we'll stay right with Wolfgang and Blaney. What a race we have. Blaney trying to run the cushion. There is one in turn 1 and 2 if you can get up there and use it. Now Wolfgang moves in behind the number 1B of Johnny Beaver. It could be a battle now, John.
Here comes your battle on turn 4. Doug Wolfgang slides high.
Dave Blaney takes the lead.
Blaney, your new leader.
He got up very high on the racetrack.
Dave Blaney almost hits the fence. Randy brings her back.
Wolfgang back in the lead. Well, one thing's for sure now, John. Doug Wolfgang knows that Dave Blaney is back there. He's going to have to quit messing around and go.
Doug Wolfgang definitely not on a cakewalk here today, Randy. Because he's going to have to contend with Dave Blaney before this race is over.
Absolutely, John. And the traffic doesn't get any less heavy out there.
Fred Raymer retires to the pit area in the number 88. He's the first car to drop out of this event, Randy.
Okay, now Doug Wolfgang will sneak up behind TJ Giddings and Darren Esch. Wolfgang trying to use that cushion. And so far, Johnny Mackison Jr. continues to run in a third position. Saturday 6. And we have a spin out in turn number 1. Spin out. And the car spinning out is behind the tower, and that is the number 880 of Scott Tobias. So this is a big, big break for the car number 29 of Doug Wolfgang.
Okay, just in case you're wondering, track champion Keith Kaufman runs back there in about that 8th position, somewhere 8th or 9th. And right in front of him is Jimmy Nace in the Camel Express number 26. Now this is going to reshuffle the deck a little bit here, Randy. Hopefully some of the lap cars may drop to the rear of the field. We'll have to wait and see. But Doug Wolfgang sitting on the point of this field, and he's got, you know, the number 40 of Dave Blaney right behind him. So we're not going to have any lap cars to contend with, I don't believe, when we go back to green. At least not by the leaders.
I'll tell you, John, we're seeing some very amazing things. Sprint cars, you know, the track the way it is right now, when they come out of the corner, if they gas it too much, they stand a chance of backflipping their cars. Paul Latier nearly did it. And then Dave Blaney nearly got fenced, unfortunately, by Johnny Bieber. Bieber got pushed out just a little bit.
Yeah, not an intentional move by Bieber.
Doug Wolfgang was on the inside. Bieber wanted to give room to the leaders. Well, that left Dave Blaney up a little bit high.
And he's, you know, he was setting in between the 40 of Blaney and the number 65 of Johnny Mackison. Now, the flagman's going to have to get this situation straightened out. We'll get the camera to swing down the front stretch.
Well, I'm sure it's going to take a few laps now, John, until we get things lined back up. They're 3 abreast now. Mackison definitely is in 3rd. It's just a matter of where he's going to start.
Right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what they do with these lap cars. I'll tell you, I think what we're going to be in for here, Randy, is a super sprint car race, because you still got Jimmy Nace and Stevie Smith Jr. back there, and Smokey Snellbaker. What a job he's done here in this, you know, initial event here at Port Royal Speedway in that number 33 car. So, you know, we may see the presence of Kaufman and Nace up here yet before this thing's over with today.
Absolutely, but one thing is definitely certain. These guys, you know, all the horsepower in the world will do you no good today. It's the man who can set it up the best and the man that has the smartest foot.
Going to take a finesse driver today, I would think, Randy. Well, we'll be back with the restart right up.
Go.
Okay, right now, Doug Wolfgang is your leader. Dave Blaney 2nd, Johnny Mackison 3rd, then 3 lap cars, and then the 33 of Smokey Snellbaker. Here they come, green flag is back out. Keith Kaufman moves up on the outside as they head down the front stretch. Kaufman trying to make a bunch of positions all in one shot, Randy.
He actually lost a few in that skirmish there, John.
He got caught on the outside of the racetrack when they headed into turn 1. Here comes your leader, Doug Wolfgang, off turn 4. And Bobby Weaver getting crossed up a little bit on the front stretch, but he brings it back under control. Right here's your battle right now.
I believe you're going to see Dave Blaney just kind of hang there and wait to the late stages of the race to make his move.
He might be able to force Doug Wolfgang into wearing out his tires, Randy.
That's a very good point. Let's see if Wolfgang actually does it. It's going to get really interesting late.
And it looks like Maynard Yanks, another retiree here in this 25-lap feature. Boy, I'll tell you, Dave Blaney's all over Doug Wolfgang, Randy.
Okay, John, this is what the World of Outlaws will do for you. You get to race an awful lot of different racetracks, and now he comes off the Outlaw circuit, makes it a lot nicer for him. They race all the time.
That's right. Dave Blaney stalking the number 29 of Doug Wolfgang. He's right there in case Wolfgang should make a mistake. But you know, Randy, Wolfgang hardly ever makes a mistake.
Almost never. And John, I'll tell you, I am very, very impressed with the drive put in by the number 65 of Johnny Mackison Jr.
Okay, we're going to try and pick up some of our...
now we got a yellow, John.
Yellow flag on the speedway. A car must be setting along the hub rail somewhere, Randy. We really haven't picked it up yet.
I believe I see a wing up between turns 3 and 4. Can't tell who it is. No, I guess maybe we'll just let him regroup here. We'll get him relined up.
Camera sweeps around. We can't locate it for you. Well,
he's just up there. He's hidden behind some of the people standing on the trailers.
Okay, we'll set it back up here in just a few more minutes with our leader, Doug Wolfgang, and our pursuer, the number 40 of Dave Blaney.
Well, I'd certainly like to take a look at the right rear tires right now to see who's wearing most.
Well, you know, Randy, down in Hagerstown a couple of weeks ago when we watched Doug Wolfgang win that race, when he came into the winner's circle, his right rear tire was actually completely bald, Randy. There were some cords sticking out of it. So I'll tell you what, these guys, they don't spare the rubber any out here on these daylight shows. It takes a lot of tire to get them through one of these 25-lap features.
Okay, John, the car that had stopped was the number 16 of Bobby Weaver, so that'll eliminate him from this event. Tough break for Bobby.
Really, you know, first race of the year for a lot of these guys, and the attrition rate hasn't been that bad so far. We still have a lot of race cars on the speedway, and I'll tell you what, as you look over that field as they roll by us here, Randy, that is a stellar field right there that you're looking at.
Absolutely.
Everybody out there is, you know, top-notch driving, top-notch equipment with top-notch drivers driving that stuff.
Yes, sir. And Johnny Mackison Jr., John, now he's fallen back from the leaders, but he's way ahead of your third place man, which I believe is Smokey Snellbaker. Rick Unger runs in that 5th position. Jim Nace is 6th. Keith Kaufman 7th. Frankie Kerr is 8th. Steve Smith Jr., Donnie Kreitz, and the rest of the drivers on back.
Okay, here they come off turn 4. Doug Wolfgang picks up the reins. Boy, I'll tell you, some hairy die-doing around off this 4th turn, Randy. These cars are loose out there. Doug Wolfgang still your leader. We're watching the battle there between Paul Latier and the 3rd place runner, Johnny Mackison.
Okay, Stevie Smith Jr. now has fallen out of the event, so he'll be a scratch.
And it doesn't look like Stevie's going into the pit area. He's rolling down the front stretch here very slowly.
He better bring her to the inside of the racetrack.
Here comes Doug Wolfgang off turn 4. They're going to be catching up to Stevie Smith Jr. And he very alertly pulls that car to the outside of the racetrack, Randy.
And I believe he's going to bring the yellow out, John. It's still green right now, however. Doug Wolfgang and Dave Blaney right out front in this event. And the yellow flag does come out now. Turn number 2, Stevie Smith Jr. Well, there he is on your screen. Tough break for him in the Jeff Creasy-owned car.
Okay, Keith Kaufman has worked his way up to that 6th spot. He runs just in front of Rick Unger in the number 46.
Actually, I believe
I
believe he's in the 5th spot because Smokey Snellbaker runs 4th.
Okay. Well, Doug Wolfgang, the saga continues here into the 1986 season. The way it looks, he's the man to beat. He's been the man to beat all through 1985. Of course, Keith Kaufman, you know, his performance last year was a bit overshadowed by Doug Wolfgang's, you know, win streak nationally, I guess. You know, the sports writers all writing about Wolfgang so much, and I think sometimes they overlook Kaufman's. He won 30-some features, Randy, and that's not too shabby either.
Not very shabby at all.
So far, these two kingpins of the Central Pennsylvania Sprint Car Circuit stand with 1 win each. Of course, Wolfgang's win coming down in Hagerstown, and Keith Kaufman won last Sunday down at Williams Grove Speedway. So right now, it is not Keith Kaufman that Doug Wolfgang has to be concerned with. It's Dave Blaney.
Absolutely. Dave Blaney all over Doug Wolfgang. It's still going to be very interesting. It depends who has worn their tire out the most.
Tires play a major role in one of these daylight races. They play a major role in any race, really, nowadays. Technology has, you know, advanced so far that if you don't have the right tires, if you don't have the right suspension, if you don't have the right motor, I mean, everything plays a major role. But I would have to say on a daylight show, the emphasis would have to be on tires.
Definitely so. And now one thing it could be a possibility, John, if they keep going very many more laps, is we could get a yellow. I really don't want to see a yellow because...
Or a red for fuel stop.
Or rather a red, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
a red
right.
For a fuel stop. And that means these guys will be able to change tires. I'd like to see who's the smartest man out there. Is it Doug Wolfgang or is it Dave Blaney? They're now moving car number 19, Stevie Smith Jr., down the backstretch, and he'll be coming into the pit area. Actually, he is restarting, John. He'll be rejoining at the rear of the field.
Okay. Well, it's going to take at least one more lap around here, so we'll be back once the cars are ready to go back to green flag racing, Randy. Okay, we're back. Doug Wolfgang leading Dave Blaney in this 25-lap sprint car feature. We've got 8 laps to go, Randy. Can Dave Blaney do anything with Doug Wolfgang? He's been on him like a cheap shirt here all afternoon, Randy. Here they come off turn 4. Oh, look at this action off turn 4. Camera swings around down the front stretch.
Keith Kaufman has moved into 4th position now, and he'll set his sights on Johnny Mackison Jr. 3 and 4 abreast racing.
Unbelievable, and Scott Tobias almost hit the second turn fence. Camera swings around now. We're with Doug Wolfgang and Dave Blaney. Here comes 4th, 5th, and 6th position. Keith Kaufman there runs in that 5th spot. We got a car coming to a stop off turn 4.
And that'll bring the yellow out, John. Yellow flag out, 5 laps to go in this event. I believe it's Frankie Kerr.
A flat tire, I believe, on the number 54 car, Frankie Kerr. The way that car was wobbling around there, it looked like it could have been a flat, Randy.
Very possibly.
Okay, we'll be back with the restart right after this. Okay, Randy, we're back here for what should be a tremendous dash to the checkered flag here by Doug Wolfgang. Green flag waves.
Oh, and Scott Tobias is
Scott Tobias into the fence.
That'll bring out the yellow flag once again. Scott Tobias sits up there by that orange fluorescent pole just to the right of the camp, right there in your screen.
Okay, a tough break for Scott Tobias. The Devil jumps up here and right in front of Scott Tobias, and he has met with the fence. So that'll be the end of his race, and we'll be back. Randy?
John, did you notice Doug Wolfgang got on the throttle very early? I think he's a little worried about Dave Blaney right behind him.
He hasn't been able to shake Blaney, and at one point, you know, Blaney has actually gotten around Wolfgang, so Blaney's showing his muscle here today. We'll be back with the restart right after this. Okay, Randy, they got Scott Tobias pushed back under.
And we have a push truck remaining out on the track. They're going to have to leave the track yellow. I don't know why the guy did it. It's a little bit upsetting.
There the cars come off turn 4. Look out, this could be a hairy situation here, Randy. Everybody's slowing down. Oh, boy, I hate to see that in sprint car racing, Randy.
Well, the push truck should have turned off the speedway on the first turn here, but he neglected that and went on around, so we have to wait another lap. It almost cost somebody some money.
Okay, they're going to try and go green flag here, and they are. Green flag is back out, Randy. Here comes Doug Wolfgang, 4 laps to go. I cannot believe how the front end of these sprint cars are coming.
And we have an accident in turn 1. Jerry Stone and Johnny Bieber. John, I'm afraid we're getting an awful lot of laps in here. We might have to go red here for a fuel stop.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens here, Randy. That's going to take a couple of laps at least to get those cars cleared away. And if they do go...
And the red flag is out.
Okay, it's going to be a fuel stop, and that's going to give everybody a chance to make those minor adjustments to those race cars. I would think that they'll be putting some new right rear tires on.
Yeah, that's going to really change the complexion of this race. Unfortunately, I kind of had hoped to see what Dave Blaney could have done the last couple laps, but now everybody will start out fresh, and
who knows what will happen,
right.
Really. Kaufman's sitting there in that 4th spot, so this actually helps him and the rest of those drivers that are farther back, because now they'll be able to maybe make some adjustments to find a little more horsepower. Well, Randy, we'll be back with the restart of this 25-lap feature. We only have a couple laps to go to the end, and we'll be back right after this. Okay, Randy, we're back, and there you see it. Doug Wolfgang, he's your leader with 5 laps to go. I stand corrected. Dave Blaney runs 2nd. Johnny Mackison Jr. runs 3rd. Keith Kaufman runs 4th. And that's the way it stacks up here with 5 laps to go, Randy. Now they brought out the red. The cars were sent to the pit area. Of course, under the red here at Port Royal, you're not supposed to do anything on a fuel stop but add fuel. Of course, kind of an erroneous way of handling the situation. I should think that anytime the cars are in the pits, they should be allowed to do whatever they want to do, but be ready to go racing whenever it's time to go racing.
Absolutely true, John. The pace quickens. The green flag drops. Doug Wolfgang has the lead.
Here they come. Dave Blaney stalking the number 29 of Doug Wolfgang. Here comes the rest of the field on third 4. Everybody working their way through turns 1 and 2. Doug Wolfgang still your leader as the camera swings up the track now.
And now Dave Blaney moves in.
Can Dave Blaney work his way by Doug Wolfgang? Earlier in the race, Randy, you know Blaney was by Wolfgang.
And now John John, Dave Blaney is trying some very, very wild moves, going way high in turns 1 and 2, looking for a little bit of moisture. Will it pay off? I don't know. We're coming around with 3 laps to go.
Doug Wolfgang very comfortably leading now at this point. There goes Keith Kaufman. He still runs in that 4th spot, Randy. I believe time is going to run out here for Dave Blaney and Johnny Mackison Jr. and Keith Kaufman, because Doug Wolfgang, he's an intelligent race driver, Randy. 2 laps to go, Randy. 2 to go on your leader, Doug Wolfgang.
Very impressively, Johnny Mackison Jr. continues to run 3rd, Kaufman 4th, Smokey Snellbaker 5th. 1 to go on Doug Wolfgang.
Keith Kaufman finally gets around Paul Latier. And here they come now, off turn 4, Doug Wolfgang out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He's heading for the checkered flag, Randy.
And he picks up the victory.
There it is, checkered flag waves on Doug Wolfgang. Dave Blaney will take 2nd. Johnny Mackison Jr. will take 3rd. Keith Kaufman will finish 4th.
Then it's Smokey Snellbaker, Rick Unger, I believe Dave Kelly, Donnie Kreitz, Randy Wolf, and Jim Nace.
Those are your top finishers. Doug Wolfgang will add yet another notch to the gun belt in 1986. That'll make, to the best of my knowledge, 6 feature wins now on the season. 7.
I believe you're right. 6 feature wins is correct.
6
he had 4 in
wins,
Florida.
4 in Florida and 2 here on the Central Pennsylvania circuit. Of course, one of them coming down at Hagerstown, the other one here today. You just saw it here at Port Royal Speedway as he rolls that Weikert Livestock number 29 down into the winner's circle. There you can see Dave Martin, our cameraman, and following him is Tom Landis, man down in the pit area. Those 2 guys bringing us a lot of the interviews that you saw here, and they'll be getting ready to go for the post-race interview with Doug Wolfgang and our racetrack announcer, Tom Baker.
How do you like the new front stretch? It's changed a little since you were here last.
Yes.